and viewers out there. Yes, it's another time to discuss again together. And today, we are going to look at another interesting subject. And the subject is agricultural science. That is the subject we are considering now. Alright, I want to ask the question. How many of us have animals at home? Okay, somebody saying, I do. Alright, we have animals, or one animal or the other at home with us. Now I want to ask another one. Has the animal you have at home, or if it is male, have the animals got sick before? Is somebody saying yes? Yes, animals do get sick, just as human beings. So this is what we are going to look at, and our lesson says diseases of farm animals. What is our topic once again? Diseases of farm animals. Alright, what is a disease? What is a disease? A disease is a deviation from the normal functioning of the body. Whatever makes the body not to be healthy or to function the way it should is said to be a disease. Now, a disease will make the animal, even the human beings, to be uncomfortable. So that's what we have as disease. Now, when we are looking at farm animal disease, that means even our animals do get sick. And what is the meaning of farm animal disease? It is disease that affects the animals. What do we mean by farm animals? If somebody may ask, what do you understand by farm animals? Farm animals are animals reared by man for food, for profit, for economic purposes. We rear farm animals for food, for money, that is income, and for other economic purposes. Now, there are different types of farm animals. Remember, we have looked into that lesson before. So today we are going to major on the disease that may affect our farm animals. So that when we see our animals not functioning properly, we should know that one thing is wrong, one or the other thing is wrong with them. All right. What causes diseases in farm animals? Diseases in farm animals are caused by tiny organisms, otherwise known as microorganisms, living things that we cannot see with our own eyes. They are so tiny that we cannot see them, and that's why they are called microorganisms. We can only see them with the help of a microscope. It is only with a microscope that we can see these organisms. And these organisms get into the body of farm animals. And when they get into the body of farm animals, they produce what is called toxin. Toxins are poisonous substances. So the microorganisms, when they get into when these poisonous substances get into the body of the farm animals, they make them to become weak, sick. Now, what are these microorganisms that we are talking about? The microorganisms are the bacteria. Can you repeat that after me? Bacteria. Another one is viruses. You have the bacteria, you have the viruses. Say it after me, viruses. Another one is the fungi. Fungi. The singular form of it is pronounced as fungus. It's fungi. Another one, we can talk about the protozoan, though that one is a bit bigger than you. The protozoan are also tiny organisms, and we cannot see with our naked eyes, but they are out there to cause one disease or the other. Also, apart from these microorganisms, disease of farm animals can also be caused by parasites. Remember our last lesson on parasites? I believe you still remember the types of parasites. So parasites can also cause disease to farm animals. Then also is this other part of the disease that may be caused by malnutrition. They call it nutritional diseases. This also affects farm animals. Alright, we want to do a little writing before we look at some examples of this of the disease of this farm animal that we are talking about. Alright, my lovely children, as I said before, that disease is any deviations from the normal state of health. In other words, it is an illness that affects the normal function of the body. In other words, it is an illness that affects the normal functioning of the body. So diseases develop. I have told us that how this disease develop in the body. The disease develop in the body because of the microorganisms that get into the body. Now these microorganisms, when they get into the body, they produce poisonous substances, otherwise which is known as what? Toxins. These poisonous substances are also referred to as toxins. This is what will make the body to become weak. Now this makes the animal sick and can cause them to die. That's what we should remember. That disease of one animal can lead to the death of that animal. Alright, the microorganisms, how do they get into the body? This is what we should ask ourselves. These microorganisms, how do they get into the body? Number one, the microorganisms get into the body of farm animals through the food and water the animals eat and drink. Some of us, our parents, are into poultry farming. And is it pig farming and other animals? You see how your daddy or your mommy does the feeding and the watering of the animal by keeping these places or the feeding trough clean. Alright, another way the microorganisms get into the body of farm animal is by what? Is by through the openings on the skin. That may be wound. If the animal or the farm animals have wound on their skin, the bacterial, viruses, or the fungi can get into the body of the animals through those openings. Another one is the bite of harmful insects, such as ticks, mosquitoes, Tsetse fly, and others. There are many harmful insects that when they bite the animal, they will now transfer the microorganisms that they carried into the body of the farm animals. Now, these are the examples I have stated earlier, that these microorganisms, if you may ask, what is this microorganism? Don't be confused here. Don't get bitter. They are just tiny, very tiny living things that we cannot see with our eyes. Remember, I've told us that before. So these are the examples of the organisms that cause diseases in farm animals. They are the bacterial, Alright, remember that these microorganisms, as you can see their names here, you cannot see them with your naked eyes except with the help of what? A microscope. A microscope is a machine that helps us to do what? See tiny things that we cannot see with our naked eyes. Alright, another thing we should also learn here is diseases that are caused by bacteria are called bacterial diseases. Can you repeat that after me? Bacterial diseases. What you just do is to add L to bacteria. Alright, the ones that are caused by viruses are called viral diseases. Now the ones that are caused by fungi, they are called fungal disease, not fungi. Do you get it clear? Fungal. Remove the I, add AL. Fungal diseases. Alright, the one that are caused by protozoa is just call it the protozoa diseases. Alright, that's what we just want to look at. Few examples of these diseases as caused by these organisms. We've been talking about the examples of diseases of farm animals. Remember, we have said that they are caused by microorganisms that cannot be seen with our naked eyes, and we have listed the examples of the microorganisms. Now remember, I have told us that the word diseases caused by bacteria are called bacterial diseases. And examples of the bacterial diseases are anthrax. Can you say that after me? Anthrax. Okay. The next one is tuberculosis. Tuberculosis. The next one is mastitis. Mastitis. Alright, the next one, brucellosis, is another one. Another one is pneumonia. So this tells us that not only human beings suffer from this very one, animals also suffer from it. Alright, the anthrax affects cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and horses. Tuberculosis affects all animals, the birds, the ruminants, the rabbits, the pig, and the rest of them. So the viral diseases, examples of viral diseases in farm animals are rinderpest. Can we say it together? Rinderpest. The next one is foot and mouth disease. Foot and mouth disease. Another one caused by the virus, Newcastle disease. Can you say that? Newcastle disease. Another one is fowl-pox. The fowl-pox. There are many, but we are just taking few examples of them. The rinderpest disease affects cattle, sheep, and goats. Take note. It affects cattle, sheep, and goats. Does not affect pig or rabbits. While the Newcastle diseases affect only the poultry. It affects poultry only. That's your bird. Now we want to look at the examples of the fungal diseases. The fungal diseases are ringworm and aspergillosis. Aspergillosis. That's how it is pronounced. Ringworm. We all know what ringworm is and how it looks like when it affects the skin. Another one is the aspergillosis. There are other ones. Now ringworms affect goats, sheep, cattle, pigs, rabbits, etc. While aspergillosis affects poultry only. This is the disease of the bird. It affects only the bird. Now we talk about the protozoan. The protozoan diseases. The protozoan diseases are trypanosomiasis. Can you say that? Hey, don't bite your tongue. Trypanosomiasis. One common word for it is called sleeping sickness. You get that? So this is the scientific name for it, trypanosomiasis. While commonly we call it sleeping sickness. The next one is coccidiosis. Now the trypanosomiasis affects all the ruminant animal. When we talk about the ruminants, we talk about the cattle, the goats, the sheep. It affects all the ruminants. While the coccidiosis affects only the poultry. Alright, with this we've come at least almost to the end of our lesson today. You've seen the examples of the diseases of the farm animals and their causative agents. That is the organisms that bring about these diseases in farm animals. Alright, before we call it a day, I just want to give us a little assignment to see if we really understand the lesson. Alright. Alright, my beloved friends at home. So call it a day in our lesson. We are to take this assignment, do it as submit it. Now, number one says define disease. What is a disease? Number two, diseases are caused by dash. What do you think are the causative agents of diseases? What causes diseases? So you have to tell me just two words there. Diseases are caused by dash. Alright, number three, dash are produced by tiny living things that get into the body. Of farm animals. What happens when these tiny living things get into the body of farm animals? What will they produce? Alright, number four. Examples of tiny living organisms that can cause diseases are, we mentioned about 4 or 5 if I'm not mistaken. So I just list only 3 out of 5 that or so that were mentioned. Mention only 3 here for me. Alright, number 5. List 5 examples of diseases of farm animals. 5 examples. There are so many. If you look at the examples that we have taken, there are so many. So out of the lot that we've learned, I want you to list only 5 of them for me. I believe that's not too much for you, no? Remember, you're a big boy and a big girl. So list them correctly. Alright, with this, we have come to the end of our today's lesson. It has been a very, very interesting moment. Alright, I am Mrs. Comfort Bassey. I say bye for now. Alright.